It's Wednesday, the 6th of February. Hello and welcome to Business Morning, live from Channel's global headquarters here in Lagos. I am Bosin Omofaye, and we have the next 1 hour together to chew over some business and market news and get some insights into the state of your economy. On Tuesday, the Central Bank Chief, Godwin Emefiele, and the Minister of Agriculture, Odogbe, were in Kano State to further their combined efforts at enhancing domestic agri-industrialization. Of course, using the foreign exchange market to support local producers. The Agri Minister says the government is ready to stamp down on tomato paste imports very soon, looking to help local industries be the game changer. So later on the program, we'll be spending some time to look at the impact the Central Bank of Nigeria's policies and actions have been having on economic growth. We'll take a look at some of the recent data taken out of the January Monetary Policy Committee communique of the financial regulator. That's one big story. And of course, everyone is still chewing over the first MPC of the year because it has some very critical information that we'll keep looking into. Of course, on our market straight, the debt office, that's the DMO, has issued February's savings bond, but the stock market remained tepid for the second session of the week. Temple Asaju, business correspondent, is joining us live from our studios at the Nigerian Stock Exchange for a rundown of the last market sessions. But of course, the stock market for the second day remain in a bearish or negative sentiment region, starting the first full trading week in the month of February. So the market was down by 0.09%, a bit of lackluster, a little bit much smaller in terms of decline on the composite index than Monday, 0.35%. Yesterday was less than 1/10, slightly less than 1/10 of a percent. So that shows the market is still looking for that breakout level, what will be a trigger point for the stock market as we get the countdown to next Saturday's presidential election. Temple Asaju, ready for us now in our studios at the Nigerian Stock Exchange. Temple, good morning. I'll take it away from here. Elections is king next week, Tuesdays. I think folks are looking at pursuing their PVCs, going by what's going on in the news and all of that. I think they're chasing more of their PVCs than they're chasing the stocks right now, because it looks like everybody looks like this is a time to make their voice heard. Next week, Saturday, I haven't decided what I'm going to be doing on that Saturday because I'm going to be home, but I love it when Nigeria's elections always on weekends, so it's always good. Keep me back in bed, waking up a little bit late. What are you doing next Saturday on election day? Tell me.
You know, this whole election thing is just a way of sacrificing a whole lot for the development of a country. Otherwise, if you consider the amount of money that is being lost to election, actually, it's not something that any country will really like to always hold. But then let's just look at how the markets did yesterday. It was actually positive. We're up eventually some 0.09% after we saw losses rising to as high as some 74 basis points during midday trading. We then saw the equity capitalization closing eventually at 11.475 trillion naira. But generally, proceedings was positive. We got interest of investors in the tier 1 stocks. They went ahead to buy some of the major names you have in the market: Stanbic IBTC, Access Bank, FVN Holdings, where basically some of the companies that investors purchased yesterday, some of the stocks that investors purchased yesterday. We saw month-to-date gains eventually rising to some 0.71% from some 0.61% from the preceding trading session. Year-to-date losses eventually also moderated to 2.09%. And market breadth was really positive. You've got 21 gainers as against 12 losers. We had Better Glass as the major firm that gained 10% in the market, while AG Leventis recorded some 6.90% losses yesterday, and that was the topmost loser in the market. In terms of activity level, we had a bit of increase, some 3.6% increase in the volume of units, total volume of transaction in the market yesterday, which settled at 190.31 million, and the value was up some 181.2%. Closing at about 3 billion naira, but 2.92 billion naira specifically. And we saw 3,183 deals. If we look at this activity level, it signifies an improvement from what we saw in the preceding trading session. For the banking stocks yesterday, in terms of sectoral analysis now, we saw Wema Bank rising the most by about 3%. Jaiz Bank also rose from its slumber to 2.04%. Stanbic IBTC up 1.96%. Access Bank rose 1.61%, while FBN Holdings jumped 1.35%. And all of this contributed to the growth that we saw in the banking sector yesterday, which ended at rising some 0.21% basically. If you look at the consumer goods segment of the market, it was down yesterday as opposed to what we saw in the preceding session. Dangote Sugar down 3.23%. Honeywell Flour and Nestle were the major losers that dragged that segment of the market yesterday. Insurance segments, we saw Mansard rising 1.03% and contributed massively to the growth in that subsector of the market. While if you look at the industrial segment of the market, Better Glass did some 10%, and of course, Kiotics continued to maintain its momentum, rising some 2.63% yesterday, and eventually helped that sector to close uptick some 22 basis points. Oil and gas segments, which is also what we'll look at in the energy segment of the market, energy stocks here now. Owando was up 3.09%. Of course, that's one company that has recorded low prices in recent time, and of course, it has given room for re-entry from some investors, given the losses that we saw on it last week. Etana PLC also did some 1.18% in its share price. Although we have some volumes traded across some of the energy stocks there, but that didn't change the share price, whether by way of losses or by way of gains. And if we move on to the NSE OTC, we'll say that the loss we saw there earlier continued as well, down 0.27% yesterday, so some 744.61 points, and that's what the USI reads right now. The market capitalization is still hovering around the 534.96 billion naira precisely. That's where it was yesterday. The volume was just 311,000, while the value for trading yesterday was 13.20 million naira, and all that took place in just 9 deals. We look at the debt markets now, where we've got a bit of mixed grill at the bond space yesterday. Trading in the bond space was a bit mixed. We saw a bit of bearish chills there. Average yield expanded by some 2 basis points, and that was how the yield closed at some 14.93%. We had sell pressure at the short end of the curve, where we saw expansion by 11 basis points, and of course at the long end of the curve, where we saw expansion by some 3 basis points. The June 2019 security was one of the key bonds there that expanded by 20 basis points. July 2034, as you see, 18th of July 2034 precisely, which is now priced at 83 naira 27 kobo, with just 500 million naira worth of transaction on that particular security yesterday. Signifies the kind of expansion that we saw there, telling you that it was a bit bearish yesterday. On the other hand, we saw demand for the February 2028, as you see right there on the screen, 23rd of February 2028 security saw a bit of contraction by some 16 basis points, and that led to some kind of contraction further or narrowing at the mid-end of the curve, where generally at the mid-end of the curve, we saw a 5 basis point decline. For the treasury bill segment of the market, activities were a bit bearish as well. We saw average yields eventually rising some 7 basis points to 14.33%. And then yields at the short end and, of course, the long end of the curve both expanded. I think at the short end, it was 24 basis points increase we saw. And, of course, at the long end, we saw 5 basis points expansion. We saw sell-offs on the 93-day data maturity securities, which also expanded some 139 basis points, and the 212 data maturities, which did some 30 basis points. But if you look at the mid-end of the curve, where we saw a bit of bullish sentiment, we saw the mid-end of the curve now narrowing some 8 basis points. And of course, if you look at the key example that we have for that, that's the 177 data maturity boson.
Tempo, Asaju, our business correspondent, thank you very much. But just a question for you. You don't have to answer this. There's a new report that says Nigeria will produce the increasing number of millionaires in dollar terms between now and 2023. Maybe you're one of them. There's no list of names, but it just says that Nigeria, the West African country, is going to produce the highest number of high net worth millionaires in dollar terms between now and 2023. 2023 is the next general elections. And then the next country is Egypt, one of the top millionaire-producing countries in the world. Not past millionaires, but fresh ones. So keep it up, Tempo. You might just make the 2023 list. Okay, see you back later on the program. Tempo.